The hush, you're very obedient today. Thank you. That was lovely, Lisa, as always. You really provide us with just a manner of letting our souls settle down and our spirits present. We have announcements, of course, but there's a bit of a welcome. I was thinking this morning of daylight savings time, up before the sun. However, what impressed me was very deeply, the sun did rise in the east to light our way this day with warmth. Its hours in the sky need no clock. It knows when to set in the west. In time, the moon rises to its place among the stars. All right, I should say to you, as you hold the order of service in your hand, you may have noticed already, if you turn it over, some of the announcements I'm making now are listed there as well, starting with today. There is, after the time for socialization and some treats and liquids, there's a documentary being shown here in the sanctuary. We are a welcoming church. When you step inside this door, we hope that you feel the warmth that this congregation generates in its sense of community. So we welcome you all, family visitors, friends, people who are members who return, but you bring your spirit into this place of quiet, loving kindness. Announcements as of March 12th. Visitors, I noticed many of you were wonderful in putting your name tags on. If you have not, stop at the welcome table to fill out a visitor card. The social justice team presents We Still Live Here, and that's today at 11:30. This month's special offering is for CHAPS, which stands for Charlotte HIV-AIDS People Support. And it does, all the money that is generated from your giving today goes to provide supplemental food and hygiene products, daily living needs to people who have medical issues, chronic medical issues. Barbara Buring, Barbara, would you stand up so people recognize you? I think you're recognizable. Will be available in Waters Hall on Friday, the 17th of March, 10:30, to answer questions about the proposed charitable organizations which this church, UCOV, identifies, so that as we take collections throughout the year, money is allotted to them. Mahjong Tuesday, that's on your announcements. And is the Passerine announcement going to be up, Tom? Yes, there's a wonderful group that's performing here. That will be a wonderful evening, and there's a modest $20 at the door. Open to public, so bring friends. The next book that will be for April 13th is called The Reading List. What an apt choice. Coming up, a very big monumental event that we support through our support of Blue Lotus. They have their annual Taste of Sri Lanka dinner, which is quite an experience. I've been several times since it was held here and now at the Jewish Center. Let's see. Oh, Bill Reynolds, I'm going to call you up. You do have a specific announcement.
Good morning, everybody. I am Bill Reynolds, and I am on the Board of Trustees here at UCOV. I'm also the chair of the Strategic Planning Committee, and our team is entering now the final stages of a year-long effort to determine UCOV's priorities for the next 3 to 5 years. So far, we've received suggestions from over 80 members through our 10 focus groups that we've done over this past 9 or 10 months. Now it's time for you to add your 2 cents to this effort. We've distilled the most frequently mentioned suggestions and ideas into a brief survey that you'll all be receiving this Wednesday, March 15th. It's an online survey only, so there's no hard copies. And through the survey, every member and pledging friend will have the opportunity to rank the priorities for UCOV initiatives and offer their opinions. And your opinion does matter. So beware the Ides of March and complete the survey as soon as you get it. If you don't receive one this Wednesday, please let me know next Saturday, and I can email the link to you. And I'm looking forward to all you guys letting us know what you think. Thank you very much.
Before we proceed, I want to acknowledge the always beautiful bouquet that Vivian and Dean Aldrich provide. They make the arrangements and put this loveliness in front of us to enjoy with the services. All right, for those people working at home, please check ucov.org or Breeze for any of the announcements that would be printed in the announcements on the order of service. There are refreshments afterwards, and I saw Pat Welling preparing some very tasty pastries to serve. You are now entering into a sacred place. If you have something on your person that makes noise, this is the right time to silence it.
Do we have any visitors?
Oh, visitors. I did speak to some of you, yes. It's one of our traditions that when people visit our church, we truly, truly welcome them, if they're comfortable, to stand up and introduce themselves and tell us a little something about themselves. Where are our visitors today?
Hello, we are Dave and Deb Minch from Appleton, Wisconsin, and we belong to the UU over there. We're so happy to be here. Come on.
Hello, my name is Ben or Benjamin, and I'm actually coming here for a week vacation from Framingham, Massachusetts.
I'm Maddie from Harrisonburg, Virginia, and we are snowbirds. I'm a snowbird with my sister, Sue, who is very timid. She doesn't want to stand. But yes, we have felt very welcome this morning. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Janet Morrill. I am a permanent resident of Englewood, and I actually belong to the UUFCC in Port Charlotte and needed a break. So I'm here to visit to see how the other half lives.
Hello, I'm Michelle Anastasi. I'm from Needham, Massachusetts, and my sister Camille Scampone from Utica, New York. We're here visiting my Aunt Serena and Uncle Dick Canarelli.
Hi, we're George and Jane James. We belong to the First Unitarian Society of Denver. We're here for a month, and this is our 4th year visiting this area. Our first year was in March 2020. I don't know what was in our heads when we decided to take a trip during the start of COVID, but we came to one church service, and then, of course, everything was shut down. We came here the following year, too, in 2021, and the church wasn't holding services in person at that point either. So last year we came again, and we attended here, and this year too, of course. So we're very happy to be here.
Good morning. I'm Annie Gray, and I'm a longtime dear friend of Donna Jewett. And what I really got a kick, I'm a member of the, I live in Concord, Massachusetts, so I'm a member of the Lexington UU Church. And I sat down next to two people from Concord, one of whom taught in my son's school. So I love that.
Welcome to all of our visitors, and however long you stay, whether you're visiting family or seeing how the other side lives in the sunshine, we hope that you will feel wonderfully welcome to return to this congregation to help us celebrate on Sunday mornings. The chalice. Love is a flame which burns in this church, made stronger by the fire of love and commitment and the burning passion for justice. May these flames always burn away the fires of isolation, fear, and pain.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm so glad to see you here on this terrible day when daylight savings times happens. For those of you who know me a little better, you know that I am not a morning person. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. And hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that." We're here today to talk about the kind of love that drives away not the metaphorical hell, but the hell of disconnection, isolation, and despair. We don't often get to talk about the Universalist side of our denominational heritage. So today we're going to do that. For one human being to love another, that's perhaps the most difficult of our tasks, the ultimate, the last test and proof, the work for which all other work is just preparation. We learn to love the hell out of the world by refusing to accept that anyone is so muddy that they can never under any circumstances be made clean. No one is ruined beyond any hope of redemption or cast out into the void. Doesn't mean they're going to take the opportunity to come back. But no one is beyond hope. In this house, there's warmth and welcome. So come and let us worship here together. And please take just a moment to say hello or to introduce yourself to the people sitting around you. Please rise in body or spirit and join in singing our gathering hymn this week, number 389, Gathered Here. And we're going to sing it through 3 times. This is the point in our story where we tell the smallest among us what it is the adults are going to be talking about after they go off to their classes. This is our children's chapel. Today we're going to be talking, well, we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but we're going to be talking about what it means to screw up. And there's a great story in some of our literature. We have a bunch of children's stories, and one of them is Hosea Ballou, the story of Hosea Ballou, Muddy Children. This was about 200 years ago, and Hosea Ballou is a famous minister among us. But Hosea was kind of a jerk when he was a little guy. And when Hosea was about 7, he had 9 brothers and sisters. And his mom had died, and his older 2 sisters had to take care of him, and he was a little stinker. Hosea loved mud. And so he would go outside every time it rained, and he would stomp in the mud, and he would squish in the mud. Sometimes he'd even throw the mud. And he'd get the mud on his other littler brothers and sisters. And as you can imagine, his 2 big sisters had to do the laundry. And back then, that meant you put it on a big copper tub, and you had to take a stick, and you had to stir it and beat it. So they weren't too happy about Hosea getting mud all over everything. They went to their father, and they said, "Dad, make him stop." And their father got a hold of Hosea, and he said, "Hosea, you gotta stop playing in the mud." And Hosea said, "I'll try." Well, you know how well that worked. So the next time it got muddy, Hosea was out there again, stomping and splashing, and he got mud everywhere. And his sister said, "Dad, you got to make Hosea stop playing in the mud." And he said, "Hosea, please stop playing in the mud." And Hosea said, "Dad, are you mad at me?" And his father said, "Well, I am a little angry." And he said, "Does this mean you don't love me anymore? You'll be mad at me forever?" And his father said, "Of course not. You just got muddy. But please try not to do that again." And Hosea said, "Okay." And as he got older, he stopped being such a little stinker and getting mud all over everything. But he started to have debates with his father because Hosea was studying religion to become a preacher. And he said to his father one day, he said, "Dad, we believe that only 1 in 1,000 people goes to heaven. How can we believe that? If there's something good up there, why would it create a bunch of people where only 1 in 1,000 was going to go to heaven and everybody else was going to go somewhere bad? Why would we listen to that kind of God?" And his father said, "Well, what's the alternative?" And Hosea said, "Well, when I was a little kid and I got mud all over everything, did you stop loving me?" And his father said, "Of course not. You just got muddy." And Hosea said, "Well, then I think everybody goes to heaven." And his father said, "How do you get there?" He said, "Well, if you're just human and you can love me, imagine how much more the God we believe in would love us, even if we got a little muddy." And so Hosea became one of the Universalist founders of our faith. Because he said, there's no way anybody's going to some place called hell. There's no good God that would do that. And so we're going to be talking about this idea that nobody is so terribly bad that they don't have the potential to be better. Thank you all for listening, and thank you all. And if you would help me sing the children to their classrooms with the Reeve benediction. Giving is a sacred practice, and every week we talk a little bit about generosity. When we pass the plate, the idea is not to make all the money in the world. It's just to remind us that generosity is something we value. So whether you give a penny, a dime, a nickel, $1 million, doesn't matter. It's to remind us that we are generous and giving people. And our offering words are offered with levity, because giving should always happen with a smile. A UU minister known for lecturing those who missed services had just finished a very unsuccessful capital campaign. "The heck with this," he said. "I'm not showing up on Sunday. I'm going to go play golf. I'll tell them I've got the flu." Well, Sunday came and the minister called in sick, leaving his congregation to their own devices. God and a nearby angel watched as the minister stepped up to the tee at the first hole. "Watch this," said God, and the angel watched in silence as the minister made the best shot of his life, a perfect hole-in-one. The next hole was the same, and the next, and the next. By hole 9, the minister was practically dancing with joy. He had broken every golf record. By the 18th hole, he made the final hole-in-one, and he capered and whooped. And the angel looked at God in absolute dismay and said, "He just shot a miraculous game, the best game he will ever have. How could you let this happen when he lied and he's a minister?" "Oh," said God, "don't worry, it'll be punishment enough." "How?" said the angel. "Who's he gonna tell?" said God. I do not play golf, so you are at no risk that I will play hooky on a Sunday. The morning offering will now be given and joyfully received. Thank you all so much for these gifts and for absolutely everything that you do for this congregation, week after week after week. Because we know that the church isn't the building, it's the community. And it's as a community of human hands and human hearts that we come together to share laughter and tears, and to bear witness and to minister to one another as we struggle with life's sorrows and celebrate life's joys. And we're entering into a time of sharing our joys and our concerns, and you can raise a hand and someone will bring you a microphone. We ask only that you share only stories that are yours to speak, and to speak briefly so that everyone can share. I have a sorrow today. Marianne Kerner called me very early this morning. I am so sorry Richard has died. He was receiving hospice services, as many of you know. I'm sure she would appreciate some gentle calls, some cards, and a lot of love from her church-beloved community. Do we have other joys or concerns? As always, if you have one to speak, I will light a candle for you up here, or you are welcome to come up before or during a service to light a candle.
This morning, I have a concern for my brother-in-law, Harvey Bonnet, who he's a wheat farmer in Washington State. And though none of you know Harvey, I just want to remember him briefly this morning, because Harvey lived with such courage. He was born with cerebral palsy and had a difficult time walking and using his arms, but living on a farm, he learned to drive the combine, and he led a 4-H group and took kids to the fairs and overcame all his difficulties with his cerebral palsy. And he had one good arm, which was much better than the other arm. And he was cleaning the combine at the end of harvest one year. And unfortunately, he put his arm in the wrong place at the wrong time and lost his good arm. And most people would say, the hell with the world, and give up. But he didn't. He just learned to use the bad arm. And I just admire him so much. And he's near death now, and I hope somehow he knows I'm thinking about him, and really appreciated his courage.
Hi, I'm Eileen Leapley. We are in very good company today. Reverend Dennis McCarty, we all remember him. His lovely partner, Kate Ellis, is here visiting with us, so make sure before you leave today that you say hi to Kate. She's enjoying the beautiful weather down here, and we're enjoying her company.
I'm Donna Schaefer, and I just had a wonderful 2 weeks with one of my brothers. I have 3 younger brothers, and this was my middle one and his wife. They left yesterday morning. I had to get them to the airport by 5 o'clock down in Fort Myers, so yesterday was a lost day. But they made it back safely to Maine and in their winter clothes again.
May the love of this community hold all who need love and concern, and may the light of our community shine on the broken places of the world. May the work of our hands and hearts support, aid, and comfort all those who hunger or thirst for food or water, justice or freedom. May we never look away when we are needed. May those who are grieving be comforted. May those who are tired find rest. May the broken places be healed. And may those who are filled with joy and laughter be abundant.
Our first reading this morning is called Hosea, Baloo, and the Fire. And this is from a story by Reverend Linda Stoll. Hosea Baloo has been called the father of American Universalism. He divested Universalism of every trace of Calvinism and opposed the idea of a Trinity. Baloo also preached that those forms of Christianity that emphasize God as wrathful, in turn harden the hearts of their believers. It is well known, this is a quote, it is well known and will be acknowledged by every candid person that the human heart is capable of becoming soft or hard, kind or unkind, merciful or unmerciful by education and habit. On this principle, we contend that the infernal torments which false religion has placed in the future world, and which ministers have, with an overflowing zeal, so constantly held up to the people, and urged with all their learning and eloquence, have tended so to harden the hearts of the professors of this religion that they have exercised toward their fellow creatures a spirit of enmity, which but too well corresponds with the relentless cruelty of their doctrine, and the wrath which they have imagined to exist in our Heavenly Father, unquote. While Ballou wrote in a way that seems complex to us today, at the time, he often taught his ideas quite practically. Ballou was riding the circuit again when he stopped for the night at a New England farmhouse. The farmer was upset. He confided to Ballou that his son was a terror who got drunk in the village every night and who fooled around with women. The farmer was afraid the son would go to hell. All right, said Ballou with a serious face, we'll find a place on the path where your son will be coming home drunk, and we'll build a big fire. And when he comes home, we'll grab him and throw him into it. The farmer was shocked. That's my son, and I love him. Ballou said, if you, a human and imperfect father, love your son so much, you wouldn't throw him in the fire, then how could you believe that God, the perfect Father, would do so? There will be a choir presentation now, a very lively song, which we've enjoyed learning. And I don't know, perhaps Marcia will tell us a few words about what it comes from.
with those lovely sounds in our ears, please join me in 1 minute of silent meditation, thought, or prayer.
Our second reading this morning from Love the Hell Out of the World by Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. We live in a tumultuous time of struggle that is literally life and death for many people. This forces us to question the way we have done things and how it has brought us here. In this challenging time, what to do is not always clear. We can't always right the things that have been broken. Tension, divisiveness, and the complexity of multiple experiences is real. Within this, there's a challenge, spiritual challenge. to practice being fully present, to take in the tumult, the pain, the anger, and the discomfort. Ours and others, without turning away, without placating or denying, but instead holding the complexity and allowing it to deepen our compassion and help guide how we act. Continuing, Reverend Susan Frederick Gray. Over this past year, I have named that this is no time for casual faith and no time to go it alone. In the coming year, I will be focused on mission because mission is where these two things meet. The opposite of a casual faith is a deep sense of purpose that recognizes how much our faith matters. And when we are called by a bold mission, we realize we cannot do it alone. Could there be a powerful and simple anchor for Unitarian Universalists? A clear articulation of our calling at this time. I'm reminded of a t-shirt I saw at General Assembly a few years ago. It read simply, "Love the hell out of this world." The phrase came from the Reverend Joanna Fontaine Crawford. Our Universalist ancestors didn't believe in hell except for the ones we create here in life. What would it mean to show up in the places where hell, where suffering and violence, persecution and inhumanity prevail, and to bring an active, powerful form of love that affirms dignity, liberation, and peace? We have a hymn to sing together. Guide my feet. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing hymn 348, Guide My Feet.
Age 7. Hello? No, I don't want to talk about our Lord and Savior, but I'll take a comic book. Mom, this comic book says I'm going to hell. Age 14. Oh, hey, that's Lisa. She's in my class. Hi, Lisa. She just had a baby and he's so... What do you mean she's going to hell? Age 21. Hey, would you sign my petition? What about you? We're trying to get the school to put in an interfaith prayer room. See, right now the Muslim and Buddhist and Jewish students have nowhere to hold services. What about you? Hey, what about... Well, no. Why would they go to hell? age 54. Excuse me, did you just tell me I'm going to hell? Well, alrighty then, at least I'll know people when I get there. You know, the idea of a hell or hells which wait for sinners and miscreants is common across a whole bunch of religions and cultures. And hells can range from cities of the dead going about their normal afterlives to places of eternal pain and terror and torment, to waiting rooms of some kind where some sort of divine judgment happens. Now, in the U.S. today, there are some pretty specific theological ideas about hell and a more casual social interpretation, which has sort of eased its way into our consciousness. It's hot, right? And red, maybe black. It's got smoke and a devil. If you watch movies and children's shows, he's the big guy with the horns, maybe some little cloven feet or something. It's a red cape if you get fancy. And if you watch modern TV, he's also on a police procedural. I highly recommend the show Lucifer. Would have horrified our ancestors. Now, in the 1700s here in the U.S., hell terrified people. Christianity taught that if you committed a sin and died before you could repent, you were going straight down to some kind of eternal torment. So you get hit by a wagon while you're skipping church, right down. Divorce, down. Steal food to feed your starving family, right down. Even unbaptized babies weren't safe. The theology at the time said that if an infant died because humans were born in some kind of original sin, well, right down. But fortunately for us, both our Unitarian and our Universalist ancestors disagreed. Thomas Appleton said, "The Universalists thought that God was too good to damn them forever, and the Unitarians thought that they were too good to be damned forever." Now, in 1741, there was a Calvinist preacher that some of you may have heard about in history classes, Jonathan Edwards, and he wrote a fire-breathing sermon called "Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God." And it listed all the reasons why people should fear the divine. It detailed holy retribution in loving detail. This was the horror movie series of the time. Reading it, I'm always reminded of a quote from Voltaire, which said, "God created man in his own image, and being man, and being a gentleman, he returned the favor." That God is absolutely terrifying, and that image of eternal damnation is horrific. And these types of sermons and stories about a hateful, wrathful, jealous, easily wounded wussy of a deity, they tell us more about the institutions and the control issues and the prejudices of the writers than they do about any sort of divine being. In 1770, Universalist John Murray started preaching about universal salvation, and it changed lives. Preachers and pastors controlled lives by telling people, you do as you're told or you're going to hell. And now there was another story that said, wait a minute, no, you're not. You're beloved exactly as you are. Murray said, give the people blanketed with a decaying and crumbling Calvinism something of your new vision. Give them not hell, but hope and courage. Don't push them deeper into theological despair, but preach the kindness and everlasting love of God. About 10 years later, the man who would grow up to become Universalist minister Hosea Ballou stood covered in mud, telling his father that God loved all people, even those who were a little muddy. By 1800, Universalism was established, and Universalists were fighting the fear of hell with a message that people were born into love. Can you imagine what that was like for folks at the time? These people have been getting terrified week after week after week that you're born bad, you're born broken, you're born dirty. And all of a sudden, there were pastors saying, no, you are not. You are born loved. Over 200 years later, we're the inheritors of that basic message. Now, over the centuries, our call has evolved. Very few people live their lives in fear of God. And the idea of hell gets examined more in movies than it does in many of our lives. And we've moved from a message of simple universal salvation to a call for our times, a call to love the hell out of the world. Not a hell of sulfur and brimstone, not a hell of devils and demons, but a hell of isolation and loneliness and violence and war, terrorism, prejudice, poverty, addiction, distrust, injustice. Begin with the rejection of eternal damnation and original sin. Most of us have already done that. Love the hell out of the world by refusing to accept that anyone is so muddy that they can never be made clean. No one is ruined beyond redemption and cast out into some kind of outer darkness. Now, this is a bold statement in a world where we have some pretty awful people. It doesn't mean that we want to reward or approve of bad behavior. It means that you begin by granting others dignity and humanity and self-worth, and you commit to restorative justice rather than vengeance. There are some awfully bad people who will never choose to do better. Our job is to grant that they might, that there will always be hope. There's almost no way to be a UU and to believe that someone is going to hell for all eternity or that someone should be punished for all eternity, that there's no hope whatever. It would be very hard to do. In a time when all sides of the political and religious world are tarring their opposites as the worst kind of sinners, you're called to remember that sometimes you have to take a stand when churches or groups use religion to cause fear, use God as a stick to beat people. Our faith calls us to fight back using love, to cast out hate. Reverend Josh Pollock, in a blog titled "Speechless in the Face of Evil," said, "Our liberal Unitarian Universalist positive view of human nature as loving, compassionate, generous, caring, and self-actualizing, though it may not present the whole picture, is no lightweight, naive, sheltered theology. It's a life-saving, life-giving, life-enhancing religious response to those theologies that drive arbitrary wedges between people, those religions that seek to frighten people into faith and that teach people that their inherent sinfulness rather than their beauty, worth, and potential. If the price of such a faith is speechlessness in the face of evil, then so be it. It may be just what is needed, so may we find power in the midst of our speechlessness. And may our faith lead us to action that loves the hell out of the world. Tom Earthman says that as Unitarian Universalists, we need to struggle to love the hell out of the world, because when we do, love becomes a new kind of battlefield. And we become fighters in a sort of war against hate and fear and ignorance. It gets us hurt to open our hearts to others. We really do share the pain of those who are suffering. We need to focus on healing people, however large or small their hurts, and sending them back into the world to share the love. But fighting against oppressive beliefs which try to cow and terrify human beings into doing things for fear of the divine, that's only loving the hell out of the world. The other piece is loving the hell out of the world. Loving the world deeply and madly and wildly. I've said before, love every minute of your sensual life. Embrace the planet that you walk on. Love the living things you walk with. Loving the hell out of the world means living without carefully constructed boundaries and walls. It means living without a lot of the protective padding. Love with passion, love with a giddy, almost crazy love that you knew when you were 17 and finding out for the first time the things that made you tick. Love the way that you felt when you discovered sex or dance or a painting that stopped your breath and almost stopped your heart. Lay down in the grass and smell the leaves. Go dancing at the Moose Lodge. Visit a food festival and enjoy every bite. Feel rain on your face. Eat the chocolate slowly. Sip beer. Sit on the beach on Wednesday with a circle of friends. Be who you are out loud. Admit the love and the joy and the pain that make up your days, and let them run and trickle and flow from you until they fill you up and break you down, until your walls crack open and your broken places let the light shine through. Watch the movies that make you ugly cry. Read the poems that make something in your chest swell until you swallow again and again. Let yourself be loved. Risk giving until you can be hurt to the heart. Feel what it feels like to love that completely and that deeply. A partner, a child, a puppy, a book. It feels wonderful and terrible and electrifying. Be present in every moment because you will die and too soon, so why deprive yourself of all that you can feel? Open your heart to the world. Risk loving because you can and you must. Love as a gift, not a business deal. Wildly, deeply. Love is not currency. Don't count what you will get in return. I don't love you because. I love you because I couldn't breathe if I don't. I love you because you are breathing. I love you because it's a miracle we're occupying the time and space together, and you are a miracle. See the miracle in every candle flame, every tennis shoe on the foot of every 15-year-old boy, every color of a rainbow, every color of a tattoo. Love it all because the good and the bad are part of the same miracle, and you are in the middle of it, experiencing a miracle. Loving the hell out of the world means opening our eyes, but the eyes of our soul. Tearing the blinders off of our heart, opening ourselves to experiencing the pain of the world along with the joy, to seeing all that is wrong and broken and bent and twisted. Because when we feel it, when we let ourselves see it, we can see a path forward. If we can smell the grass and feel the rain and see the miracle, then we can also see the hurt and feel the wounds and see how to help. We're armed for a terrible battle, but your armor can't be complete. Your beating heart has to be exposed. Their beats call home the lost and the forsaken, because we are love made human. We can't turn away from the task. We can't push away the cup. It's ours. Love yourself with all of your heart. Love your neighbor as much as you love yourself, and love your life. Love life love the hell out of the world. Amen.
We extinguish this challenge, but we carry it with us in our hearts, not as the fires of hell, but as the light of love and community. Please stand. We are going to sing a final hymn together. Come and Go With Me. It's in the teal hymnal if you need it. Go in peace and love the hell out of the world. Peace, ashe, and may it be so.